My mother-in-law made me sign a prenup because she thought I was a broke gold digger. Now she's begging to void it after learning my dad owns a chain of luxury hotels. When I asked why my background suddenly mattered, she couldn't find her words. That was 3 weeks ago. She's been calling her lawyer, crying about fairness ever since. When I turned 18, my father threw me a claiming day party where I was supposed to pick a woman to serve my every need. You see, my family had a tradition where the men sleep until noon every day, while the women wake up at 4 a.m. to prepare elaborate breakfasts. All the men around me, including my brothers and father, all supported this without a second thought. But I saw something they didn't. The women who had their lifespans cut in half due to being overworked. Even my own mother had been doing this for 20 years, and she always tried to hide her exhaustion, but her body betrayed her. Raccoon eye bags, shriveled, constant faraway look in her eye, all before the age of 40. The night before my ceremony, my mom pulled me aside. My heart broke when I noticed how badly she was limping. I was about to ask her if she was okay when she broke down crying. Finally, she stopped hiding how she felt and told me everything. That she had chronic pain from years of being on her feet. Told me my dad had threatened to kick her out and replace her with someone younger if she spoke up. At that moment, I vowed to be different from my father, brothers, and uncles. The claiming day ceremony was held in this massive hall where all the eligible women stood in lines with barely any clothes on, all while the birthday boys walked through and picked who they wanted. My cousins were already there bragging about their servants. My cousin Liam had 4 women who took shifts massaging his feet while he played video games all day. He kept mocking me for helping my mom with dishes sometimes. I was walking through the hall feeling sick to my stomach when I saw this girl fighting off my cousin Jerry. He was trying to make her demonstrate her massage techniques right there in front of everyone. She was pushing his hands away and he was getting angrier. Well, I knew Jerry, and I knew this would escalate. I walked over and told Jerry I was claiming her. He backed off immediately because those were the rules. The birthday boy got first pick. The girl looked at me with pure panic in her eyes. I leaned in and whispered that I was going to help her escape. Her name was Leah, and she told me she only came to the ceremony because she needed money for her disabled sister's medical care. We met secretly over the next few days to plan our escape. My mom helped us, even though every movement caused her pain. She gave us her hidden savings that she'd been collecting for years by skimming grocery money. She said seeing me choose a different lifestyle was worth more than any amount of money. The night we left, there was another claiming day party for my cousin. Everyone was drunk and distracted. Leah and I slipped out the back, but my brothers almost caught us. So in a moment of quick thinking, my mom created a distraction by accidentally dropping a tray of expensive drinks. My heart broke because I knew bending down to clean it would leave her in agony for days, but I knew one day I'd come back for her. We made it to a small apartment 3 states away. I got a construction job and Leah worked at a daycare. For the first time in my life, I was cooking and cleaning. Leah had panic attacks whenever men came near her too suddenly. After 6 months, we'd saved enough to bring Leah's sister to live with us. We were building something real, until one morning when I woke up to someone pounding on the door. It was my father alongside 2 of my brothers. All of them were screaming about how I'd stolen his property. Leah was terrified, except she wasn't the same girl who'd been cowering at the ceremony. She was braver, more confident. She told me to call the police while she grabbed a knife from the kitchen. My father broke down the door. His face went purple when he saw me wearing an apron because I'd been making dinner. Leah has made you weak, and if you can't teach her proper submission, I will. He then proceeded to lunge at Leah. She tried to back away, but he grabbed her arm. My brothers just stood there watching. He raised his fist, and that's when Leah acted. She swung the knife in pure self-defense and caught him in the stomach. He fell to the floor, clutching his wound. I grabbed towels to try to stop the bleeding while Leah called 911. My head was spinning, but I tried to explain everything as clearly as possible. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. The lawyer said it looked bad because my father was a respected business owner. The paramedics arrived within minutes, their sirens cutting through the chaos of our apartment. My father writhed on the floor, blood seeping through the towels I pressed against his wound. The EMTs pushed me aside and took over, their movements precise and practiced. One of them looked at Leah, who stood frozen with the bloody knife still in her hand. "Ma'am, you need to put that down," he said calmly. Leah's fingers unclenched slowly, the knife clattering to the floor. My brothers finally moved, but only to step back against the wall, their faces pale. Neither of them had expected this outcome. The police arrived shortly after. 2 officers entered our apartment, their hands resting on their holsters. They surveyed the scene, taking in my father on the stretcher, the blood on the floor, and Leah's trembling form. "We need to take statements from everyone," the taller officer said. His partner began photographing the scene while the EMTs wheeled my father out. I explained everything as clearly as I could. How my father had broken down our door, threatened Leah, and attacked her. How she'd acted in self-defense. The officer took notes, his expression neutral. My brothers gave their version too, claiming Leah had attacked unprovoked. Of course they did. They took Leah to the station for further questioning. I wasn't allowed to go with her. The shorter officer assured me it was standard procedure, but watching them lead her away made my chest tight. She looked back at me once, her eyes wide with fear. I spent the next 3 hours cleaning blood from our floor and trying to fix the broken door. My hands shook the entire time. When my phone finally rang, it was a number I didn't recognize. "This is Detective Martinez," a woman's voice said. "We need you to come to the station. There are some inconsistencies in the statements we've received." The police station smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. They They led me to a small room where Detective Martinez sat across from me, a folder open on the table between us. "Your father is stable," she began. "The wound wasn't as deep as it looked. He'll recover fully." Relief and disappointment warred in my chest. I pushed both feelings down. "However," she continued, "he's pressing charges against Ms. Leah for assault with a deadly weapon. Your brothers are backing his story that she attacked without provocation." "That's not what happened," I said firmly. "He broke into our home. He grabbed her. She was defending herself." Detective Martinez studied me. "The problem is, it's 3 against 2. Your father is also claiming that Miss Leah was his property, that you stole her from him." "She's not property," I said, my voice rising. "She's a person. We left because we wanted normal lives." "I understand that," the detective said, "but your father has documentation. Something about a claiming day ceremony. He says it's a binding cultural tradition in your family." My stomach churned. I explained our family's tradition, how women were treated like servants, how I'd helped Leah escape. Detective Martinez's expression grew more troubled with each detail. "This complicates things," she said finally. "We'll need to investigate further. Ms. Leah will be released on bail, but she can't leave the state." They set bail at $5,000, nearly everything Leah and I had saved. I emptied our account and borrowed the rest from my co-workers. When they finally released her at midnight, she collapsed into my arms, sobbing. We took a taxi back to our apartment. The broken door had been temporarily boarded up by the building manager. Inside, the bloodstain on the floor had turned dark brown despite my earlier cleaning attempts. "I'm going to prison," Leah whispered, staring at the stain. "No, you're not," I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. "We'll figure this out." The next morning, we met with a public defender named Catherine. She was young, probably fresh out of law school, with tired eyes and a stack of cases piled on her desk. "Your father has hired a private attorney," she told us. "A good one. They're pushing the narrative that this was premeditated, that you lured him there to attack him." "That's insane," I said. "He showed up at our door." "Can you prove that?" Catherine asked. "Do you have security footage? Witnesses?" We didn't. Our building's cameras had been broken for months, and our neighbors had been at work. Catherine sighed. "Look, I'll be honest. This doesn't look good. Your father is a respected businessman. He has connections. The jury will see a young woman who stabbed an older man, without concrete evidence of self-defense." She didn't need to finish. We understood. Over the next few weeks, my father's attorney built their case. They subpoenaed records from the claiming day ceremony, painting it as a legitimate cultural practice that we'd violated. They brought in character witnesses, other men from our family who testified about how unstable and violent Leah was. My uncle testified that he'd seen Leah acting aggressively at the ceremony. My cousin Jerry claimed she'd threatened him. All lies, but told with such conviction that even I almost believed them. Our side had little to counter with. Leah's co-workers testified that she was gentle and good with children. My construction crew boss said I was reliable and honest, but character witnesses only went so far. The stress began wearing on us. Leah stopped eating, lost weight she couldn't afford to lose. She jumped at every sound, convinced my family would come for her again. I worked overtime to pay for additional legal consultations, coming home exhausted to find her curled up in the corner of our bedroom. "Maybe I should just plead guilty," she said one night. "Take a deal, then this will be over." "Don't you dare," I said, pulling her close. "You did nothing wrong," but doubt crept in. What if the jury believed my father? What if they saw our relationship as proof that I'd corrupted her, turned her violent? The prosecutor seemed to think that angle would play well. 3 weeks before the trial, Catherine called with news. The prosecutor offered a deal. Leah pleads to assault, not attempted murder. 2 years probation, no jail time. "But she's innocent," I protested. "I know," Catherine said, "but if we go to trial and lose, she's looking at 5 to 10 years. We had 48 hours to decide. Leah and I spent them going over every possible outcome. The safe choice was obvious. Take the deal, avoid prison. But it would mean Leah would have a violent crime on her record forever. It would affect every job application, every background check. I won't plead guilty to something I didn't do," Leah decided finally. "I was defending myself. If the jury can't see that, then maybe I deserve whatever happens." Catherine tried to talk her out of it, but Leah stood firm. We would go to trial. The remaining weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Catherine coached us on testimony, warned us about the prosecutor's tactics. My father had recovered fully and would testify. The thought of seeing him again made my skin crawl. 2 days before the trial, my phone rang at 3 a.m. It was my mother. "Don't hang up," she whispered. "I'm at a payphone. Your father doesn't know I'm calling." My heart raced. "Mom, are you okay?" "Listen carefully," she said. "Your father's been coaching your brothers on their testimony, making them practice their lies, but I recorded them on my phone. I have proof they're lying." "Mom, I'm done," she interrupted. 20 years of this, watching him destroy you, destroy that poor girl. I'm done being silent. He'll hurt you if he finds out," I said. "I'm leaving him," she said. "After the trial, I've been saving money just like I taught you. But first, I'm going to tell the truth." She gave me the location of a diner where we could meet, said she'd bring the recordings. When I told Leah, she cried for the first time in weeks, not from sadness, but from hope. We met my mother the next morning. She looked older than her years, moving stiffly from chronic pain, but her eyes held a determination I'd never seen before. "I have 3 recordings," she said, sliding her phone across the table. "Your father telling your brothers exactly what to say, threatening to cut them off if they don't comply, and best of all, him admitting he went to your apartment to drag that girl back where she belongs." Catherine nearly cried when she heard them. "This changes everything," she said. "But your mother will need to testify. Are you prepared for that?" My mother nodded. "I should have done this years ago." The trial started on a Tuesday. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected, filled with dark wood and uncomfortable benches. My father sat at the prosecutor's table, his expensive suit unable to hide the anger radiating from him. He stared at Leah like she was something he'd stepped in. The prosecutor painted Leah as a violent woman who'd manipulated me into helping her attack my father. She'd planned it all, he claimed, seduced me at the ceremony, convinced me to abandon my family, then lured my father to our apartment to exact revenge. The defendant wants you to believe she's a victim, he told the jury, but the evidence will show she's the true aggressor here. When Catherine gave her opening statement, she focused on the truth. A young woman trying to escape a life of servitude, a father who viewed her as property, a moment of desperate self-defense against an attacker. Ms. Leah didn't ask for any of this, she said. She just wanted to live a normal life, and when that was threatened, she protected herself, as any of us would. The first day of testimony was brutal. My father took the stand, playing the wounded patriarch perfectly. He spoke of tradition, of honor, of how I'd betrayed our family by stealing what was rightfully his. He claimed Leah had always been violent, that she'd attacked other men at the ceremony. I went to their apartment to talk, he lied smoothly, to bring my son home, but that woman attacked me the moment I walked in. If my sons hadn't been there as witnesses, he dabbed at his eyes, the picture of a grieving father. Several jurors looked sympathetic. My brothers testified next, their stories matching perfectly, too perfectly. They described Leah as unhinged and aggressive, claiming she'd threatened them before attacking our father. Catherine cross-examined them skillfully, but they stuck to their script, until she asked Jerry a simple question. You said Ms. Leah threatened you at the apartment. What exactly did she say? Jerry hesitated. This wasn't in the script. She said she'd cull us all if we didn't leave. Interesting, Catherine said, because your brother just testified she didn't say anything before attacking. So which is it? The first crack in their story. Jerry stumbled, tried to backtrack, but the damage was done. One juror frowned, making a note. When Leah testified, she told the truth simply and clearly. How she'd only attended the ceremony for money to help her sister. How I'd helped her escape. How we'd built a life together. And how my father had broken down our door, grabbed her, raised his fist. I was terrified, she said. I thought he was going to cull me. I just wanted him to let go. The prosecutor tried to trip her up, but Leah held firm. She hadn't wanted to hurt anyone. She'd acted on instinct, protecting herself from an attacker. I testified next, corroborating everything. The prosecutor tried to paint me as a lovesick fool, manipulated by a calculating woman, but I stayed calm, stuck to the facts. Then came the moment we'd been waiting for. Catherine called my mother to the stand. My father's face went white when he saw her walk in. He half rose from his chair before his attorney pulled him down. My mother moved slowly, her pain evident, but her head was high. Mrs. Name, Catherine began. You've been married to the defendant's father for 20 years? Yes, my mother said clearly. And in those 20 years, have you observed his behavior toward women in your family? The prosecutor objected, but the judge allowed it. My mother began to speak. She told the court about our family's tradition, about the women who served like slaves while men lived like kings, about her own pain, her own suffering, about my father's threats to replace her if she complained. He views women as property, she said, looking directly at him. Not people. Property to be owned and controlled. Then Catherine played the recordings. My father's voice filled the courtroom, coaching my brothers on their lies, threatening them. And finally, the damning admission. I'm going to drag that girl back where she belongs, and if my son tries to stop me, I'll deal with him too. The courtroom was silent. Several jurors looked disgusted. My father's attorney objected frantically, but the judge allowed the evidence. When the prosecutor cross-examined my mother, he tried to discredit her, suggested she was bitter, vengeful, trying to destroy her husband out of spite. I'm trying to save my son, she said simply, and that young woman, because someone should have saved me 20 years ago. Closing arguments came the next day. The prosecutor stuck to his narrative, but it felt hollow now. Catherine reminded the jury of the evidence, the recordings, the inconsistencies in my family's testimony. Ms. Leah faced a terrible choice, she said. Submit to a life of servitude or defend herself. She chose to defend herself. That's not a crime. That's survival. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. 6 hours of pacing the courthouse hallway, of Leah gripping my hand so tight it went numb, of my mother sitting quietly beside us, finally free of her secret. When they called us back, I could barely breathe. The foreman stood, verdict in hand. On the charge of assault with a deadly weapon, we find the defendant not guilty. Leah collapsed against me, sobbing. My mother smiled for the first time in years. Across the courtroom, my father's face twisted with rage. His attorney whispered urgently in his ear, probably already planning an appeal, but it was over. We'd won. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Catherine guided us past them to a quiet spot where we could catch our breath. Thank you, Leah whispered to my mother. You saved me. You saved yourself, my mother replied. I just told the truth. We drove back to our apartment in silence, exhausted but relieved. The broken door had been properly repaired while we were gone, a small sign that we could fix what had been damaged. That night, as Leah slept peacefully for the first time in months, I called my mother. What will you do now? I asked. I'm leaving tomorrow, she said. I've already packed what I need. Your aunt in Oregon said I can stay with her. Will you be safe? Safer than I've been in 20 years, she said. What about you two? I looked at Leah, curled up beside me. We're going to keep building our life. Maybe move somewhere new. Start fresh. Good, my mother said. Live the life I couldn't, both of you. The next morning, we helped my mother leave. She took only what she could carry, leaving behind 20 years of servitude. As we hugged goodbye, she pressed something into my hand, a photo of us from when I was young, before the tradition had worn her down. Remember me like this, she said, and remember remember that you chose to be different. My father tried to contact us several times over the following weeks, threatening messages, promises to ruin our lives. We documented everything and filed for restraining orders. The law that had almost failed us now protected us. Leah's sister moved in with us as planned. She was shy at first, traumatized by her own experiences, but slowly she began to trust that our home was safe, that no one would hurt her here. We found new jobs in a new city, far from my family's influence. Leah went back to school, studying to become a social worker. She wanted to help other women escape situations like ours. I supported her completely, working construction during the day and taking care of the house at night. It was hard work, but honest work. 6 months later, we got word that my father's business had crumbled. Without my mother to manage the household, and with his reputation damaged by the trial, things fell apart quickly. My brothers, who'd never learned to take care of themselves, struggled to adapt. Part of me felt sorry for them. They'd been raised in the same toxic tradition, taught that they were entitled to be served, but they'd made their choices, just as I'd made mine. On the anniversary of our escape, Leah and I returned to the city where it all began. Not to our old apartment, but to the courthouse where she'd won her freedom. We stood outside, remembering how terrified we'd been. "Do you regret any of it?" I asked. Leah squeezed my hand. "Only that I had to hurt someone to be free. But no, I don't regret defending myself, or choosing to build a life with you." We drove past my family's compound on the way out of town. The massive hall where claiming day ceremonies were held looked smaller than I remembered. Several windows were boarded up. The parking lot was empty. "Do you think the tradition will die out?" Leah asked. "Maybe," I said. "Change is slow." But my mother proved that even after 20 years, people can choose differently. We returned home to find my mother's latest letter waiting. She'd settled in Oregon, found a part-time job despite her chronic pain. She was seeing a doctor, getting proper treatment for the first time. She'd even made friends with other women who'd left controlling situations. "I'm proud of you both," she wrote. "You showed me it was possible to leave, to choose a different life. Now I wake up when I want to. I eat breakfast sitting down. Small freedoms, but they mean everything." Leah and I built our life on those small freedoms. The freedom to make our own choices, to treat each other as equals, to wake up each morning knowing we were safe. It wasn't the life my father had planned for me. It was better. It was ours. Looking back, that moment when Leah defended herself changed everything. Not just for us, but for my mother too. Sometimes breaking free requires desperate actions. Sometimes defending yourself is the only option. But we survived. We healed. And we built something real from the broken pieces of our old lives. That's more than tradition ever gave us. That's freedom. The peace lasted exactly 3 weeks. I was framing walls at a construction site when my foreman pulled me aside. His expression made my stomach drop. "Your cousin's here," he said quietly. "Says it's a family emergency." Through the site office window, I saw Jerry leaning against a truck, wearing that same smirk from the ceremony. My hands clenched involuntarily. "Tell him I'm busy," I said. "Already did. He says your mom's in the hospital." The words hit like a physical blow. I grabbed my phone, but there were no missed calls from her. Still, the seed of worry had been planted. What if something had happened? What if my father had found out about her testimony? Jerry was examining his fingernails when I approached. "Took you long enough," he said casually. "What happened to my mother?" "Oh, she's fine. Well, mostly fine." He pushed off the truck, circling me slowly. "Had a little fall down some stairs, broke her wrist. Could have been worse." The threat hung between us, unspoken but clear. My jaw tightened. "If you touched her?" "Me? I was 3 states away. Ask anyone." Jerry's smile widened. "But you know how clumsy women get when they're upset, especially when they hear their son might lose his job. What are you talking about?" He pulled out his phone, showing me a photo. It was me at the construction site, but edited to show me pocketing tools. Another showed me appearing to tamper with equipment. The quality was good. Too good. "Amazing what technology can do these days," Jerry said. "Your foreman gets these, along with a few concerned citizen reports about theft. And well, this is blackmail. This is family looking out for family." He pocketed the phone. "Dad wants to meet. Neutral ground. Just to talk. We have restraining orders, which expire in 2 weeks. He's willing to let them lapse. No renewal hearings. No legal battles. All you have to do is hear him out." Every instinct screamed danger. But if they could fake evidence this easily, what else could they do? And my mother, I needed to check on her. "One meeting," I said finally. "Public place. Leah stays out of it." Jerry's grin turned predatory. "See? Wasn't so hard to be reasonable." The meeting was set for that weekend at a diner downtown. I spent the days between preparing, researching recording laws, planning escape routes. Leah begged to come with me, but I couldn't risk it. Her sister needed her, and I wouldn't put her in danger again. My father sat in a corner booth, stirring coffee he didn't drink. He'd lost weight since the trial, his expensive suit hanging loose, but his eyes held the same cold calculation. "Son," he said, as I slid into the opposite seat. "Don't call me that." He sighed theatrically. "Such hostility. After everything I've done for you." "Everything you've done? You mean treating Mom like a slave? Attacking Leah? Trying to destroy our lives?" "I tried to save you." His voice hardened. "From throwing away your birthright for some girl who manipulated you." "No one manipulated me. I made my own choices." "Did you?" He leaned forward. "Or did she fill your head with ideas? Make you think you wanted something different? You were happy before her. I was ignorant before her. There's a difference." His fist slammed the table, making the silverware jump. A few patrons looked over nervously. He forced a smile, waving them off. "You cost me everything," he hissed. "My business, my reputation. Your brothers barely speak to me. Your mother." He trailed off, jaw working. "Mom made her own choice, just like I did. Choices have consequences." He pulled out a folder, sliding it across. "Take a look." Inside were photos. Leah walking walking to work, her sister at physical therapy, my mother entering her new apartment in Oregon. My blood ran cold. We know where everyone is, he said calmly. Where they work, where they shop, their routines. If you touch any of them, touch them? Why would I do that? He spread his hands innocently. I'm just showing you how vulnerable they are. How many accidents could happen? Your mother already had one fall. You son of a— Careful. His voice dropped dangerously. Public place, remember? Wouldn't want to cause a scene. I forced myself to breathe slowly. What do you want? Simple. Come home. Resume your place in the family. Bring the girl if you must, but she serves properly. Your mother returns too. We forget this unfortunate rebellion ever happened. Never. Then accidents will happen. He stood, straightening his suit. You have 1 week to decide. Choose wisely. He left me sitting there. The photos spread across the table like evidence of my failure to protect the people I loved. I drove straight to Leah, my hands shaking on the wheel. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. What happened? What did he want? I showed her the photos, watched the color drain from her face as she recognized the threat. Her sister emerged from her room, took in our expressions, and retreated quickly. We need to leave, Leah said. Tonight. Pack what we can, get your mom, disappear. He'll find us. He has money, connections. We'd be running forever. Better than the alternative. But even as we discussed it, I knew running wouldn't work. My father had resources we didn't. And more importantly, he had patience. He'd wait years if necessary, let us think we were safe, then strike. There has to be another way, I said. That night, we barely slept. Every car passing made us tense. Every unexpected sound had us checking locks. Leah's sister picked up on our fear, spending the night curled in the living room with a baseball bat. The next morning, I called my mother. She answered on the first ring, her voice strained. I'm okay, she said before I could ask. The fall, it wasn't an accident, but I'm okay. I'm so sorry, Mom. This is my fault. Number, her voice grew firm. This is your father's fault. Don't let him twist this around. He wants us all to come back. If we don't, then we fight back. The determination in her voice surprised me. I've spent 20 years being afraid. I'm done with that. How do we fight someone like him? The same way we did before, with truth. But truth hadn't protected her from being pushed downstairs. Truth wouldn't stop accidents from happening. We needed more. The idea came from Leah's sister, of all people. She'd been quiet since arriving, trauma making her withdraw. But that evening, she spoke up during dinner. The other women, she said softly, from the ceremonies, they're still trapped. Leah and I exchanged glances. What about them? If they knew it was possible to leave, if they saw what you did. She trailed off, but the implication was clear. It was dangerous, possibly Sewer's Lidl, but it was also brilliant. We spent the next 2 days planning. I reached out to construction workers who'd mentioned having sisters or daughters. Leah connected with women from support groups. Slowly, carefully, we built a network. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. My foreman's daughter had been claimed 5 years ago. He'd never spoken about it, but the pain was evident once I knew to look. She calls sometimes, he admitted over beers after work, crying, begging me to help. But what can I do? It's tradition. Tradition can change, I said. I told him our story, about the escape, the trial, the threats. His face went through a journey of emotions, disbelief, anger, hope. You really got out? Both of you? We did, and others can too. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, what do you need? Word spread quietly, carefully. A whisper network of families who'd lost daughters, sisters who'd watched siblings disappear into servitude. Not everyone was receptive. Some were too deep in tradition, too afraid of change, but enough listened, enough hoped. Jerry showed up at our apartment 3 days before the deadline. Leah's sister hid in her room while we faced him at the door. Checking in, he said cheerfully. Wanted to see if you'd made the smart choice. Still thinking, I lied. He pushed past us, strolling through our small space like he owned it. Nice place, cozy, be a shame if something happened to it. Is that a threat? Just an observation. He picked up a photo of Leah and me, examining it. Fires happen in old buildings, faulty wiring, you know. Leah's hands clenched, but she stayed silent. We'd agreed beforehand. Don't give him any ammunition. We get it, I said. You can hurt us. Message received. Can and will, if necessary. He set the photo down carefully, but it doesn't have to be that way. Come home, both of you. Take your places, and everyone stays safe. We need more time. 2 days left. He headed for the door, pausing. Oh, and that network you're building? We know about it. Might want to reconsider before more people get hurt. After he left, Leah sank onto the couch. They know something, not everything. It's too dangerous. We should stop. If we stop now, nothing changes. More women stay trapped. More families get destroyed. She was quiet then. You're right. We finish this. The next day, everything accelerated. My foreman's daughter called him, hysterical. Her owner had suddenly become more violent, suspicious. 2 other women reported similar escalations. The men were paranoid, sensing threat to their control. We moved up our timeline. The plan was simple in concept, dangerous in execution. We'd coordinate multiple escapes during the next claiming day ceremony. In the chaos, some might make it out. Those who did would have safe houses, job opportunities, legal support, everything we'd wished we'd had. But first, we had to survive the deadline. The night before, I couldn't sleep. Leah lay beside me, equally restless. Her sister had insisted on keeping watch, still clutching that baseball bat. Whatever happens tomorrow, Leah whispered, I want you to know. Don't. I pulled her close. We're going to get through this. All of us. Promise? I couldn't promise, but I held her tighter and pretended certainty I didn't feel. The deadline came with a text from Jerry. Time's up. Decision? I responded. Meet at the diner. Same booth. 1 hour. Bring the girl. Number, then no deal. I showed Leah the messages. She was already dressed, having anticipated this. We go together, she said firmly. No more protecting me. We're partners. Her sister emerged from her room. I'm coming too. Absolutely not, Leah said. You saved me. Now I help save others. Her quiet voice held steel. I know what it's like. like. They need to see someone who survived. We couldn't talk her out of it. In the end, all three of us went to that diner, knowing it was probably a trap, but having no choice. The diner was emptier than before. Too empty. Jerry waited in the same corner booth, but he wasn't alone. Two of my other cousins flanked him, their presence a clear threat. Family reunion, Jerry said brightly. How nice. We slid into the opposite booth, Leah's sister between us. She was trembling, but kept her chin high. Your answer? Jerry asked. We're not coming back, I said clearly. None of us. His smile faltered. That's unfortunate, but we have a counteroffer. You're not in a position to negotiate. Actually, we are. I pulled out my phone, showing him a message thread. 43 women ready to leave. Support network in place. Safe houses prepared. It happens tomorrow, during the ceremony. Jerry's face went through several colors. You're bluffing. Call my bluff. See what happens. One of my cousins started to stand, but Jerry grabbed his arm. Wait, here's the deal, I continued. You leave us alone, all of us, and we'll keep it small. A few women who want out. Nothing that threatens the whole tradition. But if anything happens to us, or our families, everyone goes, Leah finished. Every woman who wants freedom. And we have video testimonies from dozens of them, ready to release if needed. It was partly bluff. We had maybe 20 women ready, not 43. The testimonies existed, but weren't as comprehensive as implied. But Jerry didn't know that. You're destroying our culture, he snarled. We're offering choice, Leah's sister spoke up, surprising everyone. Something you never gave us. Jerry studied us for a long moment. I could see him calculating, weighing options. Finally, he leaned back. I'll need to discuss this with the family. You have until tonight. After that, we proceed as planned. We left together, heads high, despite the fear coursing through us. In the parking lot, Leah's sister suddenly laughed, a broken, relieved sound. Did we really just do that? We did, Leah said, hugging her. You were amazing. But I was watching the diner windows, seeing Jerry on his phone, gesturing angrily. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. That evening, we gathered with our network. The safe house, an old warehouse converted into temporary shelter, buzzed with nervous energy. Women who'd committed to leaving made final preparations. Those helping them reviewed escape routes, legal procedures, job placements. My foreman was there, phone clutched in his hand. She's ready, he said, tears in his eyes. My daughter, she's getting out. Others shared similar hope. A brother getting his sister back. A mother seeing her daughter free. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Catherine, our lawyer from the trial, had volunteered to help. She moved between groups, explaining legal rights, restraining order procedures, what to expect. This is incredible, she told me during a quiet moment, and incredibly dangerous. You know that, right? We know. If even half these women get out safely, it'll change everything. That was the hope. But first, we had to survive the night. The call came at midnight. Not Jerry, my father himself. You've caused quite a stir, he said without preamble. Good. Do you have any idea what you're playing with? The forces you're unleashing? I'm giving people choice. That's all. Choice. He spat the word. You're destroying centuries of tradition, stable families, order, built on slavery, built on understanding roles. Men lead, women serve. It's natural order. It's abuse, and it ends. Silence stretched between us. When he spoke again, his voice was different, older, tired. Your mother called me yesterday. That surprised me. What did she want? To gloat, I thought. But no, she wanted to warn me. Said I was going to lose everything if I didn't change. Said you were offering me a chance to adapt. Are you taking it? Another long pause. The ceremony proceeds tomorrow as planned. What happens during it, that's on you. But know this. Every woman who leaves tears the fabric of our community. Every family divided weakens us all. Then build something better. Something based on partnership, not ownership. He laughed bitterly. You sound like her. Like your mother when she was young, before she learned her place. She never learned her place. She survived it. There's a difference. Perhaps. He sounded ancient now. I suppose we'll see tomorrow which way the wind blows. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, unsure what had just happened. Was that acceptance? Threat? Both? Leah found me sitting outside, processing the conversation. He's not going to stop us, I told her. But he's not helping either. That's more than we hoped for. Is it enough? She took my hand. It has to be. Dawn came too quickly. The claiming day ceremony would begin at noon. Our people were in position. Women ready to run. Drivers waiting. Safe house prepared. Everything we could control was ready. But as I watched the sun rise, I knew the hardest part was still ahead. In a few hours, we'd either free dozens of women or lose everything trying. Leah's sister joined us on the steps, her baseball bat replaced with a backpack full of supplies for newcomers. Whatever happens, she said quietly, thank you for showing me it was possible. Thank yourself, Leah told her, for being brave enough to believe it. As we headed inside to final preparations, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother, watching from afar. So proud. Stay safe. Change the world. We were about to try. The ceremony hall looked exactly as I remembered, except now I saw it differently. The massive space where women stood in lines, the elevated platform where men selected their servants, the side exits that had always been locked. Today, those exits would be our salvation. I parked across the street at 11:30, watching families arrive, men in their finest suits, strutting like peacocks, young women being led inside, some resigned, others terrified. My stomach churned, watching history repeat itself. Leah squeezed my shoulder from the back seat. Her sister sat beside her, both dressed inconspicuously. We'd split up to avoid suspicion. They'd enter through the main doors while I used the service entrance my mother had told me about. My phone vibrated. A text from Catherine. Legal team on standby. Safe house ready. Good luck. Another from my foreman. My daughter knows the signal. Thank you. I watched Leah and her sister cross the street, blending with other arrivals. My chest tightened seeing them walk back into that place, but we'd planned every detail. They knew their roles. The service entrance was unlocked, just as my mother had promised. Kitchen staff barely glanced at me as I moved through, my old family resemblance buying me passage. I made my way to the maintenance closet where we'd hidden supplies, car keys, cash, simple disguises. The ceremony began with the usual pomposity. My uncle's voice boomed through speakers, welcoming everyone to this sacred tradition. I positioned myself near the first emergency exit, heart hammering. Through the doorway, I glimpsed the main hall. Dozens of women stood in formation while men circled like predators. I spotted Leah near the back, her sister beside her. They were talking quietly with other women, spreading the word one last time. The first selection began. My cousin Marcus stepped forward, pointing at a girl who couldn't have been more than 19. She walked forward mechanically, trained to obey. But I caught the slight nod she gave to the woman beside her. She was one of ours. More selections followed. Each time I watched for our signals. A touch to the ear meant ready. A hand on the hip meant not yet. The network communicated silently, waiting. Jerry appeared on the platform, scanning the crowd. His eyes found Leah and narrowed. He started toward her, and my blood ran cold. This wasn't part of the plan. But Leah's sister stepped forward, blocking his path. She said something I couldn't hear. Jerry's face reddened. He grabbed her arm roughly, and that's when everything accelerated. A woman near the front, the foreman's daughter, suddenly screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. "I won't go with you," she shouted at the man who'd selected her. "I won't be your slave." The hall erupted in confusion. Security moved toward her, but 3 other women joined her protest, then 5 more, then 10. I threw open the emergency exit. "This way," I shouted to any woman who wanted to leave. The first few hesitated, trained to fear disobedience, but when they saw others running, the dam broke. Women streamed toward the exits, some still in ceremony dress, others grabbing street clothes we'd stashed. Jerry still had Leah's sister's arm. She twisted free and ran toward me. He pursued, but Leah stepped into his path, sending him sprawling. The look of shock on his face as a woman dared to push him was almost worth everything. "Go, go, go!" I ushered women through the exit where drivers waited. My foreman was there, tears streaming as his daughter flew into his arms. Other reunions happened quickly. We couldn't afford to linger. Security finally mobilized, but the chaos worked in our favor. Some women who weren't part of our network saw the opportunity and ran too. Men shouted orders that went unheeded. The careful order of centuries crumbled in minutes. My father appeared on the platform, his face purple with rage. He spotted me by the exit, and our eyes locked across the chaos. For a moment, I thought he might charge through the crowd. Instead, he turned to the security team, pointing and shouting, "Time to go!" Leah grabbed my arm. Her sister was already in one of the waiting cars, but more women kept coming. Some I recognized from our network. Others were strangers taking their chance. We couldn't leave them. 5 more minutes, I said. "We don't have..." Leah's warning was cut off as security reached us. 2 large men, hired specifically for events like this. They moved to block the exit. The women behind me pressed forward, desperate to escape. The security guards reached for the nearest one, a girl who looked barely 18. Without thinking, I stepped between them. The first punch caught me in the ribs. Pain exploded through my side, but I stayed upright. The second guard moved toward the women, and I tackled him around the waist. We went down hard, rolling on the concrete. More men arrived, cousins, uncles, hired muscle. But something beautiful happened. The escaping women didn't just run. They fought back, using purses, shoes, their own bodies as weapons. The girl I'd protected helped pull the guard off me. Leah appeared with a fire extinguisher, spraying foam in the guards' faces. In the confusion, more women escaped. Cars peeled away, loaded with passengers. The network drivers executed their routes perfectly, scattering in different directions. Someone grabbed my collar, hauling me up. Jerry's fist connected with my jaw, sending me staggering. "You've ruined everything," he screamed. I tasted blood, but managed to stay standing. Around us, the exodus continued. Women who'd been property minutes ago were disappearing into freedom. Jerry swung again, but this time I was ready. I ducked and pushed past him, helping the last stragglers through the exit. "We need to leave now." Leah pulled me toward the final car. Her sister already had the engine running. As we ran, I glimpsed inside the hall one last time, half empty. Men standing in shock among abandoned ceremony clothes. My father on the platform, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The tradition hadn't died, but it was bleeding out. We dove into the car as security burst through the exit. Leah's sister floored it, tires squealing. Behind us, more cars scattered in pre-planned directions. Some would go to the safe house, others directly to new cities, new lives. My phone exploded with messages. Catherine confirming arrivals at the safe house, drivers reporting successful deliveries, women who'd made it out sending grateful texts. Not everyone had escaped. We'd known that was impossible, but the number who did exceeded our wildest hopes. 47, Leah breathed, reading her own messages. 47 got out. Her sister drove expertly, taking predetermined turns to lose any pursuit. In the back seat, Leah pressed a towel to my split lip while I checked in with drivers. Everyone was accounted for. The safe house was filling up. Catherine had lawyers ready for the inevitable legal challenges. We switched cars twice, following our escape protocol. By evening, we reached the safe house. The old warehouse hummed with activity. Women being given new clothes, documents, job leads, volunteer counselors offering support. It was chaos, but organized chaos. My foreman found me in the crowd, his daughter clinging to his arm. He pulled me into a crushing hug, unable to speak through his tears. His daughter whispered, "Thank you," over and over. Similar scenes played out out everywhere. Sisters reunited, mothers seeing daughters they'd thought lost forever, women meeting others who understood their trauma, forming instant bonds of survival. Catherine pulled me aside. We've had calls from reporters, words spreading fast. Your family's threatening legal action, but they're on shaky ground. Most of these women are legal adults who left voluntarily. What about the ones who aren't? We have emergency custody paperwork ready. Foster families on standby. We're prepared. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. You think you've won? My father's voice was ice. You saved a handful. There are thousands more. It's a start, I said. You've marked them. Every woman who ran today. We know their names, their faces. They'll never be safe. Neither will you, I countered. The world's watching now. Reporters are calling. Your tradition isn't secret anymore. Silence. Then, this isn't over. No, I agreed. It's just beginning. He hung up. I looked around the warehouse at women learning to be free, at Leah coordinating housing arrangements, at her sister teaching others the self-defense moves she'd learned, at my foreman introducing his daughter to a job training program. Jerry burst through the main door, flanked by several men. The room tensed, but he stopped when he saw the cameras Catherine had arranged. Local news had arrived, documenting everything. You can't keep them, he snarled. They belong with their families. They belong to themselves, I said clearly, aware of the recording cameras. And they've chosen to leave. He stepped forward, fists clenched. Several women moved behind me, but not in fear, in solidarity. The foreman stepped up beside me, then Catherine, then others who'd helped. A wall of people who'd chosen freedom over tradition. Jerry looked at the cameras, at the united front, at the women who no longer cowered. For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. He turned and left, his entourage following. The rest of the night blurred together. Women being transported to permanent housing, legal documents being filed, stories being shared with reporters who handled them sensitively. The network we'd built held strong, each person playing their part. By dawn, the warehouse was nearly empty. Most women had been placed in safe situations. Some chose to stay together, forming communal living arrangements. Others went with family members who'd been waiting years to help them escape. Leah found me sitting on the loading dock, watching the sunrise. She sat beside me, our shoulders touching. We did it, she said softly. We started it, I corrected. There's still so much work ahead. But look what's possible when people stand together. Her sister joined us, carrying 3 cups of coffee from the volunteers inside. We sat in companionable silence, exhausted but energized. My phone buzzed with messages from women who'd made it to their destinations safely, each one a small victory. Catherine emerged from the warehouse. I just got word. 3 more ceremonies in neighboring states were disrupted today. Women walking out. Your action inspired others. The ripple effect. We'd hoped for it, but hadn't dared expect it so soon. Your family's called an emergency meeting, she continued. They're discussing damage control, but several younger men have already broken ranks, saying the tradition needs to change. Change. Not elimination yet, but change. It was progress. As we prepared to leave, I thought about my mother, safe in Oregon, about the women starting new lives, about the men forced to confront their assumptions, about traditions cracking under the weight of their own cruelty. The battle wasn't over. There would be retaliation, legal challenges, attempts to drag women back, but something fundamental had shifted. The ceremony hall that had trapped generations of women had become the site of their liberation. Leah drove us home, her sister asleep in the back seat. My ribs ached from the fight, my lip throbbed, but I felt lighter than I had in years. What now? Leah asked as we pulled up to our apartment. Now we help them build new lives, find jobs, get counseling, whatever they need. And your family? They'll adapt or become irrelevant. Either way, their power is broken. We helped her sister inside, tucking her into bed. She'd been incredible today, facing her fears to help others. The trauma would take time to heal, but she'd taken the first steps. Leah and I collapsed on our couch, too exhausted to make it to the bedroom. She curled against me, careful of my bruised ribs. I'm proud of you, she murmured. Proud of us, I corrected. My phone lit up with another message. A woman who'd escaped today, sending a photo of her new apartment key. The first thing she'd ever owned herself. This was just the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, 47 women would sleep free. And sometimes, that's how you change the world. One person, one choice, one key at a time.